Hi, Keri. It's such a pleasure to interview you today. Thank you so much. I feel like since getting to know you on campus, you're one of my go-to people and a gift that keeps giving. So thank you for not only connecting with us here at the Career Center and being supportive of our work, but letting us partner with you on celebrating Native American heritage on campus. So without further ado, I will get us started and we'll start with just our first question of telling us about your background and how you identify.
All right. Well, first, I want to thank you for this opportunity too. I really appreciate it. So my name is Keri Smith, and my background, I'm a member of the Cowlitz Indian tribe. My family have been in this tribe for generations, and we have a tradition of leadership. So um, my great grandpa and now my uncle was the tribal chair, and my dad has served in different roles as well.
It's impressive. Well, can you tell us what the term American Indian Heritage Month means to you and what significance do you place on it?
Yeah, American Indian Heritage Month is a really exciting opportunity to help people think about Native American or American Indian history, which is a topic that we tend to overlook a lot of times. And so the opportunity to educate is a really exciting chance. And sometimes it's also a little bit cheesy. I saw a poster at the T station today, which I wanted to kick a little bit because I thought, what does that have to do with riding the train? But mostly I look at it in a good way.
Absolutely. I think it's very important that that educational piece is not forgotten, especially considering what happens when we don't learn about heritage of people and how we can stay connected to that heritage. So thank you for sharing that. There's no denying that identity impacts one's professional life as much as it does the personal. How has your identity impacted your career?
I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for my identity, actually. And the reason why I say that, from early on in my college experience, I was very excited about sociology, which is my discipline that I work in. But I also really found a home in the American Indian Studies program at the University of Washington, which is where I went to undergrad. And I was learning about my community, my identity, and what it means to be an Indigenous person more broadly that gave me a lot of exciting questions to explore in sociology, and also gives me some exciting topics to explore in class.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As a fellow sociologist, I could agree more to that. Yes, so thanks. Um, in the same vein, how has your heritage and your identity empowered the work that you do?
Absolutely. It's really empowered me to ask research questions that were not even in the realm of sociology before. And early on, when I was working and asking these questions, people said, why isn't this anthropology? And so getting to speak to that question was really powerful, and getting to bring this subject into a field of living communities and people was really important and empowering.
Um, this isn't something that we've talked about before, but I know some of the classes that you teach here at Suffolk. And this semester, I know a couple of the classes that you're teaching. So if you can tell us a little bit more about those classes and how that impacts your scholarship and heritage.
Yeah, absolutely. This semester, I'm teaching a criminal justice class, 218, which is crime and law in Indian country. And that is about the really unique legal heritage of federal Indian law and how it impacts the prosecution of criminal acts on reservations. So that came out of my interest in just understanding the legal position of Native American people in this country, which is distinctive. And I'm also teaching Native Women's Health this semester, Sociology 303, which it feels like almost an embodiment of my life and my passion, which is really cool. So we get to look at a lot of the health hardships that Native women experience because, again, of that legal status and position. But we also have the opportunity to learn about the ways that traditional knowledge is a form of sovereignty and is also a form of strength. And so those are two classes that I'm teaching right now.
That must be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what your biggest success story in your career has been today?
I think my biggest sort of brag in my career is getting my dissertation published as a book.
Can you tell us the title?
I forgot the title. It was
It's been a
published.
while.
Yeah, states and indigenous nations, I think. Yeah, I think so. I can go grab it if you want, but
Yes, please do.
okay.
Awesome. Tell us about the book.
So, this book is it's actually about what my research summary says about me on the website. But I look at the unique legal positionality of Native Americans in the US, how the constitutional rights don't protect Native people, and so therefore um, Indigenous people have been going to the UN for decades seeking rights there under the human rights legislation, and more recently, the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. So,
It's
and
really
the specific movements that I compare are Native Hawaiians or Kanaka Maoli and the Zapatistas, which were really active when I was working on my dissertation.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
What would you say are some changes that you would like to see in your industry, higher ed, or broadly in the workplace to improve the Native American work experience and or representation?
There are a couple of big challenges in higher ed which face us today. And the first one is the peer review process of journal articles. And I think it's even harder as someone who studies an understudied topic. Um, so frequently in my career, I've submitted articles to journals that they can never find people to review them because there just aren't that many people doing that type of research. And more recently, I also experienced a situation where someone assumed that I was a white author and accused me of cultural appropriation. And so, in a way, that's easy to write back to in the revise and resubmit process, but it was also kind of an extra insult to injury situation. So the peer review process is really broken though and needs a lot of repair beyond diversity questions too. The other problem I think that Native academics and Native students experience is that we're the racial slash ethnic group that people most often lie about on their college applications and then going onward. And so this past summer, a couple of women were outed as having pretended to be Native for their entire careers. And this happens every summer. A couple of people are exposed, usually in the US or Canada. And then if you're a Native student who's worked with these scholars and you've co-authored research, that can make it really hard because no one wants to cite them anymore now that they're publicly admitted liars. So that's another unique problem that's in academia, especially.
That's something to really ponder. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thinking about your career, who or what has been the most helpful in your professional journey and success?
So this is kind of an answer to your next question too, but as an undergraduate, I had amazing mentors who they supported me and they were able to help with teaching me research, helping me with writing my application to graduate school, and supporting me throughout that process. And those mentors were generous with their time and honest and just so helpful. And different mentors have come in as I've moved through my career. And I've learned so much from those people, and they have supported and lifted me up and helped me to build other relationships and expand my network.
So how would you encourage another student, a student watching this, another person watching this, um, on building those relationships and finding those mentors?
Yeah, I was really fortunate that there was institutional organizations in place. So at the University of Washington, there was, and it was called the Early Scholars Identification Program. And it was mostly staffed by grad students, but there was one PhD in charge. The more time that you went and visited, the more help you got. So I think the way to generalize that to our students, because we don't have a similar office, is when people offer their time to you, show up and just be open to what they're going to tell you and take advantage and keep in touch. So for instance, show up to office hours, go to events on campus if you're already there, and go and use offices like the Career Center that Suffolk does have, because the more that you invest in it, the more that you'll get out of it.
Totally agree, especially on the last part.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, how has social capital, the connections that you've built, the relationships that you've built within your professional career helped you influence, has influenced your success? I know that, you had all these mentors who poured into you to go into the graduate program, but you've been in academia now as a professor for a while. So how has connections and relationships been impactful in your success so far?
I think it's especially been impactful in allowing me to have a lot of publication opportunities. And sometimes it's just showing up to coffee with someone at the conference and sitting down and finding out that, oh, here's this opportunity that you didn't ask for, but it's there for you to take up. And so my mentors since graduate school have been really instrumental in helping me to connect with publishers, build relationships with publishers, and maintain those relationships.
That's very important. Maintaining relationships is just as important as making them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's a challenge.
it is a challenge because we're about to talk about challenges right now. Can you share any challenge or setback that you've experienced at any point in your career journey and how you were able to overcome that challenge or setback and how you moved forward?
Yeah, there's two things that I think of, and graduate school is really hard because it's a process of kind of breaking you down at the same time that it's helping you to rebuild a new identity and a new professional self. So that's a big challenge. And then also in academia, you're making a lot of work to put yourself out there, and people will say no as many or more times than they say yes. So you have to keep putting yourself out there and acknowledge that frequently it's not about you personally or even about the merits of your work, but other factors that are out of your control. And like anything, the more opportunities you attempt to receive, the more yeses you'll eventually get to.
I think so.
Yeah.
If you could give your younger self advice, what would it be?
I think I would steal my mentor's advice, which they gave to me because it was really amazing. And
Sure.
their advice was to do good work. Um, and they said it to qualify that, don't try to do what's trendy or popular. Just do good work that you care about.
That's very simple, but also very powerful. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Keri, for sharing with us today, and learning about your heritage and learning about your work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you again. It was a pleasure.